Oakland, LA, Oakland, Vegas, Raider Nation, wherever, forever. You got your old Uncle Mosh and Raiders Fan Radio from Murf's Man Cave, taking a lighter journey into the dark side. Sit back, put your feet up, pop a top, and enjoy the ride. Here we go!
Look left, look right, Bolitnikov, a leaping pass, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Way up the middle, intercepted Filipiano at the 50, time running down. Oakland football, and I think Oakland victory.
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
What is up, Raider Nation? Welcome back to another fantastic episode of Raiders Fan Radio. Appreciate everybody joining us here for another episode of the show. Thank you for the guys in the chat room that have already joined us. I see Chevy Raider in there, New Life Bully, Salvador, Ashton, Adam Hill, Sam Acosta, of course Ron and Bobby Wasabi. We can't start an episode without Ron. Of course, he's like our official, unofficial Kickstarter of the show. So again, appreciate you guys joining us here for another episode of the show, and appreciate everybody checking us out. Mosh, welcome. No, I'm all over the place today. Let me slow down.
Deep breath.
Deep breath. So I can't do this show alone. So let me welcome into the southern annex of the Murf's Fan Cave desk, the one and only Uncle Mosh. Welcome to the show, Uncle Mosh.
Well, it is so good to be back in the chair. I'm kind of back in the saddle, if you will.
You and Steven Tyler.
Yeah. Oh.
You see what I did there?
We could have gone to school together.
You sure could have.
Yeah.
You know that he's now a Nashville resident and he's becoming a country music star now?
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, he's playing the Ryman and all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
I love that. Talk about a midlife, end-of-life crisis. He's an old dude, man.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there a little bit.
He's like older than I am.
He's like that crowd that's like that 70 plus. Like there's some really cool people in there, like Harrison Ford. Like there's know what I mean? Like Robert Plant. Like there's some iconic guys in there, and he's kind of in there as well. But anyways, what about any Raiders we could throw? I'm sure there's some of the classic Raiders would be in there.
Sure.
In their 70s in there. But anyway, so thank you for joining us here for another episode of Raiders Fan Radio. Uncle Mosh, we got a lot and a little to get to tonight.
We got a lot of little.
We got a lot of little to get to tonight here on the show. And so we're going to, first off, we're going to talk about episode number 105, which is what this is. And we're going to give some respect. We're going to talk about the new stadium and what some of the news that has come out around the Oakland Stadium kind of news scene. Then we're going to do the Sea of Fans mailbag, Uncle Mosh, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming game against Kansas City. So a lot and a little to get to. And for those of you in the chat now, and I already see Chevy Raider has got the now famous hashtag Cut the Nelsons going on. And normally when we do the show live on the YouTubes, I kind of look at the chat, and I don't type in there very often, but I like to see what you guys write and respond to it when we can. Danger, warning, Will Robinson. Uncle Mosh now has access. Uncle Mosh now doesn't just have one screen over there. So not only does he not have his iPhone, but now he's got a laptop and an iPad rocking over there. You guys can't see it necessarily in the shot, but Uncle Mosh he's got like a command center going on over there, so he's going to be monitoring the chat. So if you want to get a message to Uncle Mosh, again, we're not good at typing and responding back to you.
Wait, but you could have stopped that. We're not good at typing. I got a little bit of trouble singing, let alone typing.
Absolutely, but you can
ASDF.
Yeah, but you can but you can get messages to us certainly during the show that way by being in the chat. So thank you to those of you that are in the chat. And Uncle Mosh, thank you for being here tonight. You're kind of playing injured. You got a little bit of the stuff. You got a little bit of the crud going on over there.
I got issues right
He's
now.
been Uncle Mosh has been drinking NyQuil and yeah.
Give me a bottle of NyQuil. That restful sleep my body needs. Do you ever remember that song?
No.
It's an old country song. I can't get to sleep. I can't get to sleep at night until my tongue is green. Give me.
Oh my gosh!
I really do think that was
was
an
a
old
song?
Yeah.
Give
me a bottle of NyQuil. Yeah, I can't remember who sang it. Like it's years. Like we're talking 30 years ago.
30 years ago, yeah,
or better.
Or better. Wow. No, I don't know that one. But
I had to take my hat off. And I love my hat. Don't get me wrong.
You love your hat.
I wasn't wearing the right shirt to sport the hat.
I got you.
You know, sometimes you got to have the hat and the shirt, and things were going a little crazy, and I just, but I'm probably not going to play Pete Koch's his soundbite this week.
Okay.
But I wanted to give a.
You got the silver locks working.
I had to get the silver locks flowing for Pete, and we'll talk about the silver locks later when we get to Q-Dog.
So speaking of hats, I'm glad you brought that up, Uncle Mosh. I'm showing on camera here the Raiders Bridgestone Golf 47 brand hat. We're going to give this thing away. What did we decide? We were going to take your submissions via email.
Yes.
With a story, with a Raiders story. Was it family?
It was.
Story?
It was a family. We talked about this in post. We said, you know, we're going to go with a Raiders holiday story, something that was, you know, that happened. And when we say holiday, it could be a Sunday when the Raiders are playing. That's a holiday, man.
Yeah.
You know, and it was maybe close to Christmas or Thanksgiving, or you know. It's a little known fact there, Normie, that December 6th and 7th, the Finnish celebrate their Independence Day from 1917.
Oh, good for the Finns.
Yeah, and
are they Dutch?
And we call that the Big Finish.
Oh, I see what you did there. Okay, and all right. And now's where I change the camera and ask for my hat back. Okay. All right. So, anyway, send us an email about the Raiders or the Finnish, whatever you want.
Oh,
let me see what I did.
Do we have any listeners in Finland?
Yeah.
I'll bet we do.
Yeah, we sure do. What about the Costa Rica news? Did you get that?
Oh, give it.
Okay.
Give it.
So we have now charted in 6 countries. And most recently, Costa Rica is the one we've charted in. So thank you to all of you down in Costa Rica that are listening to Raiders Fan Radio. You know, Raiders Fan Radio, you know, if you don't know, Raiders Fan Radio is heard in over 80 countries around the world and all 50 states. And
sometimes we call it Raiders Fan Radio worldwide.
Worldwide or global. That's right. And so anyway, so thank you to those of you down in Costa Rica that are paying attention to our little podcast here. We are
WWRFR.
We are appreciative of you joining in. All right, so Uncle Mosh, let's get to a couple things here. So first up, before we even play the contact information, I got to get something off my chest.
Dude, I was hoping you were going to do this because it's KC week, right?
It's KC week. It's time to let the hate flow.
It's time to let the hate flow. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I called in and I did a rant.
Amazing rant, which I should have played it this week. I'll dig it up while we're doing the show.
About how much I hate KC, and this is the week. There's a couple of weeks when it's okay to hate in Raider Nation. You know, we got a lot of hate going on all over the world, but this is the week it's okay to hate in Raider Nation, and it has to do with our hatred for Kansas City, and it's an okay thing. But there's a little something else going on within the family that needs to be addressed. And there's some outsiders that just need to be, hey, you don't want me to put Q-Dog on.
All right, so here's what I got, man. So, you know, I consume a lot of Raiders media. I try not to overdo it on podcasts, and the only reason why is that there are many wonderful other Raiders podcasts out there. And we know a lot and love them and are friends with a lot of them, especially guys like over at the Pillaging Podcast, the guys at Behind the Eye Patch. Like there's a handful of podcasts, guys that I would consider friend of ours, peers of ours. and we celebrate what they do because a rising tide raises all ships, right, Mosh? Like, this is all, we're all one big pirate fleet here, and so there's plenty of podcasts to go around. All right, so, but I don't listen to a lot of them day in, day out because I don't want their opinions to permeate into what little brain I have and to then have me regurgitate those things. I want to kind of consume as much Raider news as I can, distill it down, and then we give a fresh opinion here on the show. Yes,
Murph, you said a word there. You said news.
Yes.
And we're not talking, we can go hours and hours and hours on opinions, on speculation, but we like to get the news, the raw news.
Get the news.
And so hit it, man.
Yeah, so here's what we got. So there are a handful of news outlets that I trust. I trust Steve Corcoran, RaidersSnakepit.com. There's Jerry McDonald, Matt Schneidman. There's a handful of guys that I will go to for the news. But there are a lot of news outlets for the Raiders, and there are a couple in particular, and I'm not going to even name them because I want to dignify them here on the show.
Absolutely not.
But they float out sensationalized, clickbaity kind of stories, and I'm telling you, Raider Nation, be very mindful, thank you, Mosh, of when you read a story, see who it's from. And if it's a story that sounds kind of far-fetched and it's from a name that's not, look, as much as I don't care for them at times, if it's not Raider Snake Pit or The Athletic or ESPN or whatever, CBS Sports, if it's not something like that, then it's probably somebody's fluff piece. It's probably somebody's opinion. It's probably somebody's speculation. And then look, their speculation is no different than yours. They don't have any more sources than you do. All they're doing is they're taking a story and they're crafting it for clicks. They're crafting it for hits. And when you float out a story like the Raiders are going to trade for Blake Bortles for draft picks, it's trash. It's absolute garbage. It's the same people that said, Calvin Johnson's going to be a Raider. It's the same. Look, and if somebody wants to declare a story as, hey, look, here's my opinion. I've taken this into account, and I think that this is something that's a possibility. That is entirely fair. There's nothing wrong with that. And you see people like Phil Barber or the Santa Rosa Press Democrat, who we've gotten to know, people like that, they will offer up an opinion. And there's nothing wrong with an educated opinion. But to just throw a story out there just to kind of see what sticks, I'm telling you, Raider Nation, don't buy it. Don't click on it. Don't pay attention to it. Don't retweet it. Don't make Facebook posts about it. It's trash. It's garbage. It's just completely made up. It's fabricated. It's a friggin' story. It's a fantasy land. And it drives me crazy, Mosh. And here's why. Because it leads to division in the fan base. Look, we already got enough things to be divided about as a fan base. We already got enough things to be divided about as Raider Nation. You could be pissed off about how they're playing. You could be pissed off about who's coaching them. You could be pissed off about what city they're going to play in. We don't need people like this fueling that fire. Be better than that. You got a big brain on your Raider Nation. Use it. Don't buy into this trash that gets floated out there. What do you think, Mosh?
I don't think that I can say anything more
fires me
than
up.
what you said. And I love it. I love that you get fired up about that. But I almost feel like you're defending what we do here because we hear from the fans. We don't hear our fans aren't in this to get clicks. No. Our fans are here to talk about the Raiders.
Yes. And there's nothing. And look, and again, there's nothing wrong with that stuff. Look, I love Mikey. We love Mikey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Mikey does some videos with the intention of getting attention. So, and he'll tell you, this is just some crazy thought I've had this way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he doesn't have this there's
not subtext with Mikey.
No,
Mikey is legit when he says, I am pissed off. I'm pissed off about that,
Yes, and he's not doing it, as like, oh, look, here's something that's true, and I'm reacting to it.
Right.
That's not what he's doing. It's not misleading.
It's misrepresenting.
He's not misrepresenting.
Absolutely.
So there's a big difference between the blogs and those other people that are out there. And look, and I'm talking about, and there's a couple. And I'm not picking, there's some blog friends of ours, Raider Ramble. Like, there's a lot of good ones out there. But I'm talking about there are some straight up media outlets that are, quote, affiliated that are just bad. It's just trash. Don't pay attention to it. If you see something crazy, Raider Nation, it's most likely that it is. So, anyways, all right, I'm going to go ahead and dismount my soapbox there before I run out of steam.
Wow. You were fired up about it.
Oh, man. Pisses me off, man. Freaking pisses me off because I don't want to see our people get duped.
I didn't want you to start.
All right, sorry. You see what happens? You start me up again.
It's my fault.
All right, so next up here. So let's. I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead and play the contact info. Let me catch my breath, and then we will come back and we want to give some respect and a couple other things.
Eat
so
some crackers or something. All right, boys and girls, pay attention. You got your old Uncle Mosh here with an update. That's right. I got some stuff for you. Take out a piece of paper, a pencil, a pen. Heck, use your pocket knife and carve the info into your dashboard as you're driving down the highway. First off, you need to like us on our fan page on Facebook. That's right. Go to Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. Don't forget about the Twitter. You know your old Uncle Mosh, he twits now. That's right. Go to at Raiders Fan Radio. Also, don't forget the Instagram at Raiders Fan Radio. Or what about our website? That's right, RaidersFanRadio.com. Heck, if you want to, you can even email us, show@RaidersFanRadio.com, or call us on the Raiders Fan Radio hotline, 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. Don't forget Murf's Fan Cave on the YouTube, where you can get all the show links like the Fan Club Blitz with Splatterhead and Fitz. Find all our stuff on podcast providers like Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. All right, did I hit the time limit? Good. I hit the time. I did that in one breath.
Good job, Uncle Mosh. All right, so thank you for Uncle Mosh. Thank you to Uncle Mosh for all the contact. Gosh, I'm a mush mouth today. Thank you for that, Uncle Mosh. And yes, best way right now to support Raiders Fan Radio, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the button there. It's youtube.com/Murf's Fan Cave. That's MURFS Fan Cave. Thank you to those of you that have done that already, and please continue to support the show that way. We're kind of becoming big fans of this whole live stream thing with a couple faces made for radio, and so
we're having fun with it.
We're having fun. Having a lot of fun.
29 of you are subscribing to us,
absolutely,
or whatever it is, and it's a blast, man. We're here. We're glad to be here for you.
Absolutely. So thank you to those of you that support us in that way. So speaking of that. Uncle Mosh, we give respect.
Hey.
We give respect on this show.
Anybody can give a shout out. We give respect.
We give respect. That's right. No
respect
props.
Respect is earned, bro.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so someone that's earned a lot of respect in my book, I mentioned him a few minutes ago, my buddy Mikey. We do Mondays with Mikey and Murf together. Mikey and I have not only had a great time together doing our show, but he's become a friend, and I like how volatile he is. I love how different of an opinion he is. It's funny. I'll hear from some people that'll be like, "Oh, Murf, you're great, but man, Mikey, I'll tell you sometimes." And then on his channel, we'll hear, "Mikey, you're great, but that Murf, man, I don't know." Like, it's funny. So what that tells me is that we're hitting multiple beats there, and that's the whole point of it, right? Is that we're different. Where we don't differ is our passion for the Oakland Raiders. We are equally as passionate about this football team. We just have different approaches on it. But anyway, so I said all that about Mikey to say this. I want to give him respect because he had not only me, but you, Uncle Mosh, on a show earlier today. We did a show called Inside the Raider Nation. It's a new interview series that Mikey is doing where he basically just kind of sits down with members of Raider Nation, and we kind of talk all things about the Raiders, from our origin stories as fans to our favorite plays to each other and all that stuff. So, and it was really fun. Thank you to Mikey for inviting us to be the first or the inaugural guests of that show.
Yeah, he did. And of course, Mikey does absolutely a fantastic job when he's in post, when he does all his editing. And man, I can't wait to see Mikey make me look good. You know, and it was a lot of fun. We talked about how we became fans, why we're still fans. We got into a little bit about why we do this. What is it that drives you and me to put in all this time and effort to sit behind a couple of microphones and some cameras on your desk and have a good time weekly, And
Absolutely.
so it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Good stuff there. So thank you again to him for inviting us over for that. And that'll be up this Saturday. It's on Mikey's channel, On Air Nation, spelt just like it sounds, On Air Nation. You could just Google Mikey Raider, Rayder, and he'll come up as well. So look for us this Saturday for that episode of Inside the Raider Nation. All right, Uncle Mosh, next up, I want to give some respect. And, it wouldn't be the first time we gave respect to the guys in Jersey, right?
Hey, we love those guys.
Man, the guys in the Black Hole, New Jersey are awesome. Not only supporters of our show, but contributors to the Murf's Fan Cave Network. Once upon a time when we started Raiders Fan Radio, one of the first made men on our show was Chuck McCann, Chuck Splatterhead, and he is an amazing representative of Raider Nation. He is the president of the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole, and Chuck went from being just a made man and caller and listener to now hosting his own show, the Fan Club Blitz. And so he hosts the Fan Club Blitz on the Murph's Fan Cave Network. He does it with his buddies Tom and Fitz, and they're great. They're so
funny.
They're so funny.
Yeah.
It's irreverent. It's just, it's guys hanging out in a bar watching a Raider game, and it's a blast. And so, it's personally, it's part of my life. I don't do that anymore, but I used to a lot, and at times when I miss it, I can listen to them, and it's, you know what I'm saying? Like it's really cool. So I really enjoy listening to those guys, and they'll even have other guys that are members of the Black Hole. Chris Potts comes to mind, and a few others that'll kind of jump in, and they just it's a lot of fun. So all that said, I want to give respect to those guys, and they flat held it down this week in Baltimore. Not only the guys from the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole, but Monster Mash Ken was down there, along with the Virginia Booster Clubs and DC Metro. Rodney, Sir Hitman, who's the president of DC Metro, he was actually on the Fan Club Blitz, and they all shared this big tailgate together in Baltimore, and just had, you could tell, an amazing time. And I appreciate not only, again, their support of us and having us be included. Here we are all these miles away, and for them to think of us and to make us part of it by sending us pictures and messages and whatnot is just really, really cool stuff. So thank you to all of you over there that are affiliated with the New Jersey chapter and the Virginia groups and Monster Mash Cam. Thank you all. Give you guys a lot of respect for what you do for Raiders Fan Radio.
You're listening to The Violator, and I'm live on Raiders Fan Radio. Where you at, baby?
All right, Uncle Mosh, we are in episode number 105 of Raiders Fan Radio. I know, cool, huh? And so, speaking of the Black Hole.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So,
that segue.
We always honor, on Raiders Fan Radio, we take the number of the episode and always honor something that's Raider related, whether that be a player, a yardage total, a year, whatever. Well, when I saw that we were doing episode number 105, it made me immediately think of the Black Hole. So I'm going to read something to you here real quick. Big breath. In 1995, a group of hardcore Raider fans had an idea: create a fan group clad in black that would eventually encompass all of Raider Nation. So in 1996, they purchased seats together in the end zone to create a section of the stadium where fans could stand, cheer, intimidate opposing teams, and epitomize what it means to be a Raiders fan. Since that day, the Black Hole has represented the diehard Raiders fans, the ones committed to their team, win, lose, or draw. The Black Hole unites Raiders fans worldwide. It is a family that represents the pride, tradition, and commitment of the Oakland Raiders, which is truly what makes the Black Hole football's most notorious fans. The Black Hole is much more than Section 105 in the Coliseum. It is wherever you, the passionate Raiders fan, lives and breathes the silver and black. This is the Black Hole state of mind. Positive fanaticism at its best, the Black Hole aims to reach and join forces with all those who bleed silver and black. With chapters both in the U.S. and abroad, the Black Hole promotes team spirit, community outreach, civic pride, and the ultimate family of fans. Join us as we together unite as one Nation.
Wow.
That is the Black Hole, originated in section 105 of the Oakland Coliseum. So we want to celebrate the Black Hole and all of those guys and what they do here on Raiders Fan Radio. One last thing, Uncle Mosh. Chuck says it all the time on his show. No one does it like they do it. And it is the absolute truth. And when you look at the community outreach and the involvement that they do, there is no off season for these fan clubs. There is no off season for the Black Hole. They are invested in the areas in which they live. And it is amazing. It's not just getting together and drinking and eating chicken wings on Sunday. That is so much more. It is literally a lifestyle, and it is such an amazing thing. They are amazing representatives of Raider Nation. So thank you to the Black Hole and to section 105. All right.
Man, that was awesome.
They're great, man.
Hey.
I tell you, Machi, the first, I sat in, technically the Black Hole, like it started in 105.
Right,
and
right.
technically, when you look at it in the stadium, it's 103 to like 108, right? It's that whole strip.
Sure.
So I sat in the Black Hole this year for first time ever.
Yeah.
And we were in 104. We were right on the edge of 105. And it's everything you would think it would be. It's so amazing and so fun, but it does translate. And look, we are kind of the voice of the out of town fan at times. When we have, we mention all the different countries we're heard in, and we hear back from you, and we have so many of our listeners are out of Oakland. So there are many of our listeners that will never get to experience what that's like, to go to the Black Hole. But it's more than that. It's not just going and sitting in those seats. It's all those things that I just read to you. That, to me, is what makes the Black Hole so cool. And whether you've ever been there or not doesn't matter. It's, do you embrace and embody that spirit of fandom? It's awesome stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, so the Black Hole is in the stadium.
Yes.
It's where it started.
Yes.
This is called Segue.
Okay.
So
Hit
if
it.
the Black Hole is in the stadium,
oh, nice.
what's going on with the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum?
Oh, my gosh. All right, so listen to this. All right, so there's some craziness that happened today. So I've had a few Raiders stadium updates that I've been sitting on for a little bit, and I've kind of been waiting for the right time to play them. And we've gotten to that point today, and the reason why, Uncle Mosh, is that the Oakland A's, who are entwined in whatever the Oakland Raiders plans were going to be for a stadium, they were linked together in one form or fashion, like it or not. And I'm not going to get into all the minutia of the stadium negotiations because, look, some people blame Libby Schaaf, some people blame who's the mayor of Oakland, some people blame the city, some people blame the Raiders, some people blame Mark Davis. There's plenty of blame to go around. But the bottom line is this, is that Oakland made a choice to not negotiate with the Raiders to what they were wanting to do with the Coliseum site. It all came down to whether the Raiders and the NFL would own the land, because then they could develop a new Coliseum adjacent to the existing Coliseum, right?
Sure.
And then,
do like they've done in other cities, tear one down while they build another.
Exactly.
Blah,
that was
blah,
what
blah.
Well, they could never do that in Oakland because the A's also live in the Oakland Coliseum. And because the A's occupied the Coliseum for that time, they couldn't necessarily do that. That you couldn't have one getting, the A's needed a home, essentially,
Sure.
okay? So today, the A's have negotiated numerous times to leave. They tried to go to San Jose. They tried to go to Fremont. They've tried numerous times. So one of the most recent ones was the Howard Terminal area of Oakland, which is over there on the water. They had negotiated a chance to build a ballpark there, and the announcement came out today that they were going that is now underway. So now we're a far cry from digging into the dirt, right? We're a far cry from that. But what got my interest and what led to this stadium discussion today, and we don't dwell a lot on the stadium, but we're going to today a little bit, was that in the proposal, the A's said, we're going to break ground in 2020, and we're going to be playing ball in 2023. So now the way it works or sits right now, the Raiders, as of 2020, are going to start playing games in Vegas. So the timeline would have worked out. So this whole crux of, the A's needed to be gone for the Raiders to start to build. Well, now the A's, which at the last I heard before this was that they were going to renovate the Coliseum and they were going to stay there. Well, now they're not. Now they're going to leave. So the land is going to be left vacant. So here it was you had the A's, the Raiders, and the Warriors all on one spot, and now none of them are going to be there. And so if that doesn't tell us a little bit that Oakland was at minimum in bed somehow with the A's and chose the A's over the Raiders, I don't know what else to think, because now you're going to have a vacant spot. Now they said they're going to leave the base paths. And look, let me say this too. There's no bigger A's fan in the world than me.
Absolutely.
And you. And I know you're kind of split with Giants too. But I love the A's. But this is kind of like watching your parents fight. Like, I'm like, I don't know which one side to pick, right?
Right.
But so they're going to leave the diamond there, but then they're going to renovate and they're going to build like housing and like malls and doing whatever. But I'm like, God bless it. Like, why did it's so frustrating that this could have worked. Now, look, it's not going to happen. It's just, literally going to be water under the bridge. But it's disappointing to me that I don't know, cooler heads or egos or whatever couldn't have prevailed in this thing, and that the Raiders could have still been, the Oakland Raiders. But they're not going to be.
And actually, that's good news probably in the Raiders front office, because it dispels any of the rumors and the delusions about lawsuits and things of that nature. So we know that that's probably not going to happen with this plan to move forward. So, it'll probably end up saving Oakland a lot of money in the long run. Legal fees, nothing else.
Yeah, it will. And, that was the thing, is that it's all going to be privately funded, which, the Raiders were looking at public funding. And, did I say public or private? The A's are going to be privately funded. The Raiders were wanting public funding.
Right, sure.
And the public funding would have essentially been the sale of that land, or the donation of that land,
right,
is what it would have been. And again, I don't want to get into the details of all that stuff, because it's a lot to process and it's pretty convoluted. But at the end of the day, okay, so they're going, right? So the Raiders are going. So here's what I've been sitting on.
Where are they going?
Going to Vegas, man. Vegas, baby, Vegas.
And what's going to happen in Vegas? What happens if they're started in Oakland?
It started in Oakland. That's exactly right. So just to give you a couple of quick updates on where we're at with the Raiders Vegas Stadium, it's starting to take shape.
Nice.
And as much as, look, it says stay in Oakland right here over my shoulder, and I will always be an Oakland Raider fan first and foremost. But I'm starting to come around more and more to the idea of them playing in Vegas. And, I think the team is obviously, with the quote rebuild or whatever you want to call it, the team is definitely setting up to have a more successful run in Vegas than they have had here in the past couple of years in Oakland. So anyway, I wanted to play a couple things for you that I thought were fun. The first thing we're going to play is called From the Ground Up. It's you and I are big Mike Rowe fans.
Absolutely.
One of the best voiceover guys ever. Yeah. He's up there with John Facenda in my book, And so Mike Rowe does a nice narration of what's going on, kind of the genesis of the Raiders Stadium in Vegas. So let's play that for you here. This is From the Ground Up.
November 13th, 2017. The first shovel of dirt was removed from a 64-acre plot of land just west of the Las Vegas Strip. The Raiders, united with a team of tireless leaders from Nevada, are creating an ultra-modern, permanent stadium for the Raider Nation to call home. These are the stories of the people and the project, told from the ground up. Anytime you build a new home, there are many things to consider. For the Raiders, an undertaking as complex as a cutting-edge stadium will utilize much of the organization's talent and focus.
It's been pretty much my job for the last 10 to 12 years, so to see it coming to fruition is very satisfying.
The whole experience of finding a new home and developing a new state-of-the-art stadium for the Raiders is an overnight success that took about 20 years.
It's pretty exciting, but it's coming at us very fast.
It happens like some other things in life in two ways. Very, very gradually, and then suddenly.
I can't believe this is happening, but holy cow, I better get everything organized because the pace is going to be furious, and it has been since we started.
NFL stadiums take a lot of land, and finding just the right parcel is the key to a successful endeavor.
We struggled with that in previous incarnations in trying to get stadiums done, and unless you have control of the land, you really don't have much of a project.
Owning the property legitimizes the project, meaning if you don't have the land, all you really have are, well, some pretty architectural renderings.
There were, I believe, 11 different sites that were contemplated. sites up and down the Strip. We talked about some sites as far away as the Speedway, some sites down south of 15. I think it's by far the best location we could have found. It's essentially adjacent to the Strip, so you'll have all that Strip traffic, but it's not on the Strip, thus creating problems not just for the stadium patrons, but for also the resort properties. You don't want to create a nightmare for them that impacts the rest of their business. We're building a spectacular facility together.
All right, Uncle Mosh, there's from the ground up, our buddy Mike Rowe there. What do you think?
I love it. Hey, Ron on the chat says they should paint a baseball field on when they get it built in Vegas, and then they can call that their throwback game.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and there's not going to be any baseball field there, which will certainly be nice for the team. You know, it's funny. I'm glad that you brought that up. That's a good little segue here, Mosh, because our next soundbite, it comes from News 3 in Vegas, and they actually talk about the grass. And the stadium in Arizona, Chris Berman famously called it the big toaster because the grass like rolls in like on a tray,
right,
and then they roll it out and grow it, right, and they put it in on game day. The Raiders are going to have something very similar. They're going to have one of those grass trays, but they're also going to have, and you'll hear them talk about this in the clip, the biggest outdoor door. Like it's going to be a big, on the wall, the entire wall of the stadium is going to open up in this big giant door. And I'm getting chills. You're going to see a view of the Strip.
Wow.
It's freaking cool.
That's
like this
great.
is the kind of stuff where I'm like, all right, as much as I'm a St. Oakland guy,
yeah,
like, that's pretty badass.
That is
you
really
know what
badass.
I mean? Like it's going to be cool.
I was just in Arizona 2 weeks ago, and was asking about that. I'm like, why do they do that? And so you can go on the YouTube. The guy I was talking with is an architect down there, and he was telling me that and we were actually eating lunch where the Diamondbacks play. We were at and they were taking out their turf to put in. I were taking out their grass to put in turf. Because,
field turf or whatever?
Because of the way that they built their stadium. They said it's one of the only ones that from home plate to third base, I think doesn't face due north or something like that. So there's a big spot that doesn't grow. So they did that, even though it's in the sunniest part of the nation.
Yeah.
They do that so that they can have the roof that retracts and stuff like that, and it rolls out. And I said, so why do they roll out their grass? And they go, so it can get sun and water. And it's about 4 feet high, and it takes 8 or 10 hours to roll it out. And then they bring in these monster truck things, and they put on all this dirt. And it's just really a great idea. I'm surprised more people don't do that. But it's going to be neat.
So that's going to be cool. Really awesome. So we're going to have that going on in Vegas with the Raiders. So some pretty cool stuff. So here's some new details. And the reason we're playing it here on the show is that these are new details about this Vegas stadium, and it's just fascinating. It's going to be neat stuff.
626 days from today. That is when your Raiders stadium is supposed to be finished. It was a year ago yesterday they broke ground. You know, that stadium is now rising, and with it will come two very cool signature elements. We're talking about a huge door that actually opens and the grass field that moves. It's a stadium that sort of acts like a robot, I guess. New at 6, our Jeff Gillen is back on the stadium beat. Jeff, if only my house could be that cool.
Yeah, really, if only my house could be that cool. Anyway, good evening, Las Vegas. The field and the doors were on the agenda for discussion today at the Stadium Authority. They postponed it. I will not postpone this story.
For my viewers, this is just too cool to pass up. At the stadium, you can already see the outline of what will be the biggest, baddest door in the city. It will take 10 minutes to open, providing an opening 80 feet tall and 215 feet wide. It will look out on the mother of all backdrops, the Strip. Wednesday, the Stadium Authority was going to potentially sign off on all the legalese, county code stuff, that governs the operation. The guy you're hearing is the authority's Jeremy Aguero.
At the request of the county, they asked that we table it while they continue a few conversations.
With doors like that, details are important. Steve Hill is the authority chairman.
And frankly, we're just dealing with things that are very large, that weigh an awful lot, and you can't just move them every time you would like to.
Most of the time, the doors will be closed to save energy, but documents say they could be open more than 800 hours a year for games and events. Weather will be key. They'll be closed when wind reaches 25 miles an hour. And the stadium will come equipped with a weather station to watch weather up to 250 miles away. That stadium will have a natural grass field, and it's cool too. A rail system will move what's called the field tray in and out. Matter of fact, it will be outside, documents say, up to 90% of the year so grass can grow. The stadium will have 22 retractable columns that move out of the way to let the turf slide out. Bet your lawn can't do that. In the meantime, the stadium is on track and on budget, which makes Clark County Chair and Governor-elect Steve Sisolak pretty happy. For him, it means jobs.
Drove through the parking lot, a lot of Nevada license plates, which is what the deal was, and I'm thrilled to see so many people working.
And working on a stadium, on track to be done in 626 days.
And we should note that stadium will be home to the Raiders and the Rebels. It's supposed to be ready for opening day 2020. I'm Jeff Gillett, News 3.
All right, there we go. Ron and the Jets. The doors will remain open after Mark Davis takes a dump. That's awesome.
Hey, Vlad has joined us from Serbia on the chat.
Oh, very cool. Very
Nice,
cool.
nice.
Welcome to Raiders Fan Radio, my man. Thank you very much for joining us.
It was pretty funny, too. Somebody, it's gone away now, but somebody had posted that how awesome would that be if their sections, when they were doing their numbering, if the 105 was where the black hole was.
You know, that would be amazing.
Be a really cool
and,
throwback
you know,
thing.
There's the original black hole. It's organic, right? It came up as I read earlier. You know, the fans are what created it. So no matter what, if the team does that, it's going to be fabricated. It's not going to be the same. But they do need to do something to pay homage, at least at a minimum.
Yeah.
It's got to be because, you know, you're still going to have Gorilla and Violator and all those guys down there sitting there. You know what I mean? I would certainly hope that they would be hip enough to do something like that. Sure. I can't imagine that they wouldn't. But then
Mark Davis listens to the show. So
he does. So, you know, Mark, you know, I was just answering his text back there.
Oh, was that him that was texting you?
Yeah, that was texting.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, though. Now that you mentioned Mark Davis, I mentioned Monster Mash Ken earlier.
Right.
Actually, he calls us here later. Send us pictures hanging out with Mark Davis.
No kidding.
Kelsey Martinez, Mark Davis on the sideline. He had the VIP treatment and everything.
Nice.
And was representing Raiders Fan Radio, too.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love it.
We'll get to more of that later. But, yeah, some pretty cool stuff there. So I hope you guys are at least a little bit excited. I know it's not ideal. It's not where we want them to play, ideally. But the more this Vegas thing goes on and, you know, the more I start thinking to the next 2-3 years coming into the future. And, you know, I think we got some exciting stuff, and the way that the technological advancements of this stadium are going to be phenomenal.
Yep.
And it's not going to be Oakland Coliseum. It's not going to be the same tailgate experience. But between Vegas itself and this new facility, it's not going to be what we're used to, but it will still be a pretty cool, fun game day environment.
Sure. Absolutely. Hey, what time is it?
It's time to get to the Sea of Fans mailbag.
Let's do it, buddy. Let's do it.
There he is, fading, looking. He's under the gun. He's caught, he's thrown. It is.
All right, Uncle Mosh. First off, here in the Sea of Fans mailbag, I believe you got an email, don't you?
I do, and you know, because it is Hate Week, and Paul in the UK, our good buddy Paul Egerton in the UK, sends us an email. He says, "This week I'm grasping at straws. It's my birthday on Sunday, and I mention this only as I've done some research that means we will beat the Kansas City Cheats." And he says, and that's actually how you pronounce their name.
Yeah.
Those
It's Cheats.
It's Cheats. I've looked back through the history of our fine nation and discovered that we have played 8 times on December 2nd, and our record stands at 5-3. And that's good enough for me to retain hope. I refuse to look at their offense and current record. It means nothing up against my worthless research. at some stage of this season will play for 4 quarters, and the shock will be enough to see us to victory on any given Sunday, my friends. Keep up the good work. Go Raiders. Paul Egerton in Shropshire, UK.
Awesome. Just west of Birmingham over there.
Just west of Birmingham.
Awesome. Good deal.
Shropshire is to Birmingham as Mississippi is to Birmingham.
Absolutely. So appreciate Paul and the email. Thank you, buddy. Keep them coming. Yeah, Chiefs week, man. So I've been looking for the for that rant. I think this is it. So I'm going to start to play this, Mosh. If it's not it, I'll just stop it. But I think this is your rant about hating the Chiefs.
I hate the Bills.
Oh, no, that's the Bills.
That's right. Uncle Mosh here, the Raider hater. Why is it?
No. Is that it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But then you talk about hating the Chiefs?
But I think so.
Okay, I'm going to let it play. Let it keep going.
You know why I hate the Bills? Is it because of OJ? Nah. I'm not even going to go there. Do not get me started talking about the juice. Is it because Marv Levy was their coach in the golden days? When everybody knows Marv Levy was wearing Kansas City Chiefs underwear? Skittles suck. And we hate Marv Levy. We all know that we hate the Bills. Why do we hate the Bills? We hate the Bills.
Oh, you're going on about the Bills.
They are
from not the Chiefs.
Buffalo. That's right.
Can I
Buffalo
skip? Let's skip
gave
ahead.
us. Are you serious? Yes. Who reads Travel and Leisure magazine? Let me tell you who reads Travel and Leisure magazine.
This is not it. Uncle Mosh had a great run about the Chiefs, about hating the Chiefs. I'm sorry I don't have it. We're going to play them twice in like 5 weeks. We're going to play them at the end of the season.
We're going to get it. But
I'll get it set up and ready to go.
And what was the best thing about that? That was what kicked off us being known on a national level, because I did my rant about hating the Chiefs. And who followed it up?
Ving Rhames.
Yep, with a rant, his own rant about the hatred between the Chiefs and the Raiders.
And I actually have that one. Here it is. This is amazing.
Man, that's Shakespeare. Always ahead of his time. Close your eyes and tell me what you think about when I say the word hate. Not a pretty picture, I'm guessing. I'm thinking deep down, hate is not a particularly useful thing. But I tell you what, if you really feel the need to have hate in your life, well, maybe you've come to the right place. And Chiefs don't like each other? Come on now. You don't like your math teacher. You don't like the guy in the office down the hall. Please. Tonight, hate is alive and well.
A critical situation of drama here.
With these two franchises, what makes it real, what makes it matter is the hate. The hate's what's given us games like this, plays like this, in a rivalry that's become legend. And thankfully tonight, the hate continues. So for the next few hours, watch the hate. Embrace the hate. Believe in the hate. And then after the game, how about we go back to putting the focus on love? Sound good?
All right, there he is, Marcellus Wallace himself, man. It's such an awesome run there. And, Mosh had his, and then that one came out like a week or so later. So pretty cool stuff there, hearing about the rivalry between our Raiders and the Chiefs. All right, let's hit the first email. Gosh, I can't talk tonight. Let's hit the first voicemail of tonight and hear from a new caller to the show, Jeff, or as he calls himself, Raiders 64.
Yeah, I'm Murf, and Uncle Mosh. This is Jeff, a.k.a. Raiders64. Just calling in to thank both of you for having your show. I'm a long-time Raiders fan since Super Bowl II, and I have not heard a show like this probably since, probably since through the 70s. So, anyways, brief history on watching the Raiders play football. My dad had season tickets from midway through 1972 on all up till they moved to Los Angeles. And my first game was at the end of the 1972 season, was against the Chicago Bears, and I got to see the great Dick Butkus play, and that was just awesome. So anyways, fast forward to what's going on now. Everybody needs to just shut the hell up on Gruden because he's just trying to do his job and clean house, basically. And I believe that's what he was brought in to do ultimately. And so, you know, mainstream media, and that includes your boy Mikey. He listens to too much to mainstream media. He needs to just kind of change his tune and you know, be patient because great things are coming with Mr. Gruden, because I believe Reggie will be gone at the end of this year, and I think, in my opinion, I believe they'll be bringing in Bruce Allen, and I think that will be probably the pairing that's going to be happening. And, you know, and I think great things will come after that. So anyways, again, thank you both you guys for an awesome show. And, it's, you know, long overdue in my opinion for, you know, and I'm just so glad to have, found it, or basically stumbled across it, so to speak. Anyways, thanks to you both, and go Raiders. Enjoy Thanksgiving and the Sunday's game against the Ravens. I'm out.
All right, Uncle Mosh, here we go. There's Jeff, Raider64. Appreciate the phone call. Appreciate you stumbling across us here on Raiders Fan Radio.
We love a good stumble.
We love a good stumble, man. Absolutely. And so, you know, so kind of address what he's talking about there. Look, I'm not necessarily an apologist, but I'm a fan of John Gruden. There's nothing that he's going to do from here until whenever he decides to quit coaching that will ever change what he did for us in the early 2000s. I will remain a fan of what he did during that time, regardless. It's like, you know, I didn't care for the last Indiana Jones movie as much, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but that doesn't change how amazing Raiders of the Lost Ark is. Like, just because what you do after the fact doesn't change what you did originally to create the fandom in me to begin with. I'm a fan of Gruden because of what he did. Now, look, so I get why people like Mikey are fired up. I get why they don't, you know, trust or they're mad or whatever. I get all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to choose to believe because I'm a fan of what he did back then. Mosh, what do you think?
I agree. You know, you brought up movies other than Rocky II, when he beats Apollo, or Godfather II. Sometimes sequels aren't as great as the first time.
Hey, Godfather 3 is not a good movie.
No, but Godfather 2 is amazing. Is amazing.
Yes. So did you just stop being a fan of Francis Ford Coppola? Forget it. I'm never going to watch Godfather again.
No, not a chance.
No,
not a
just because 3 kind of stunk it up a little bit?
Yeah,
no.
You know, all those Star Wars movies, all 47 of them, you know, and you like 42 of them, you know. So, hey, Princess Leia is still hot in that when she's chained to Jabba the Hutt.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I just, you know, what happens, whatever. The most recent doesn't change the precedent, right? And so I'm gonna continue to celebrate John Gruden until this thing's done, one way or the other. So hopefully he'll get it figured out though, because 2-9 sucks. Like there's no defending that. Like there's no. Mikey asked us earlier tonight one word that could describe this season, and I said unexpected. I mean, look, rebuilding, sure, whatever, retooling, I get all that stuff, but I did not expect our team to be 2-9. Nobody did, and that's why everybody's freaking the heck out.
Yeah, well, let's go on and hear from Houston, Steve.
Great show, Murf and Mosh. This is Houston Raiders Steve. Would I become a name completely and lesser identity, the Raider identity? No, I would not. My uncle has been a season ticket holder for the Browns for 50 years when they left and did the Baltimore thing. He's Cleveland through and through. That's just the way it is. And same thing when the Oilers left Houston. My mom was a diehard Oiler fan, Houstonian, adopted. And when they left, she actually became a fan of the Tennessee Titans because she was a big fan of Eddie George being a Buckeye and also Coach Fisher and Steve McNair during those days. So she became a fan of the Tennessee Titans because she was supporting the players, obviously, and the coach. Last year that they were once they had said that they were moving, Sports Talk Show and radio, and said callers called in constantly in Houston said, "Bud Adams, don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you." So I'm not going to. And they remember the first year they played at what was the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, and they still have the colors. But no, I would not become a fan of the Raiders. I'd still follow Derek Carr and the remaining Raiders that are left on the team, but it just wouldn't be the same. And anyway, so to answer your question, no, I would not be a fan if they were the Las Vegas Lounge Lizards. We have the Houston Gamblers here in Houston during the Jim Kelly run and shoot, run and gun days. I never went to a game, even though I admired Kelly and Mouse Davis's offense that he ran. It was exciting. They were in the championship one year, I think. We only had them here for 2 years in Houston at the Astrodome. Great show. Always enjoy the calls. And the Heidi game. Thing I remember is the Timex commercials. And I remember when she fell down and she was crawling across the ground, they flashed the final score. And I thought, this is really odd. This is really a sensitive moment. And they're showing the final score of the game here at the bottom of the screen. It was surreal.
That was payback.
I was just like, man, what a weird way to show a final score of a game. Great show, Mosh and Murf, and watch out for that chicken in the alarm. I had a good laugh on that one. Always enjoy your shows. God bless. Take care. Bye.
All right, good stuff there from Houston Raiders, Steve. Gosh, you made on your tally sheet over there for the Sizzler, Uncle Mosh. What do you got? We got Heidi. We got the chicken alarm. What else did he get in there?
Oh man, he was he was cracking me up. He had the Titans. He had Memphis. He did some research. What does he think he's Q-Dog?
Yeah. So he referred to the chicken alarm. So last week when we were doing the show, my son left his phone in here, and at 9 o'clock his alarm goes off because it has to remind him to go plug in his phone downstairs, and it sounds like this.
Oh man, I gotta plug my phone in.
Yeah, so plug your phone in, kiddo. But anyway, so in all seriousness, there to cover a little bit of what he had brought up, Uncle Mosh. Being a fan, it was nice to hear that perspective about what happened when the Oilers left Houston. Not a lot of fans became Tennessee Oilers or Tennessee Titans fans. Their fandom stayed in Houston, and especially when they became the Titans. It's one thing if you're the Oilers and then you become the Tennessee Oilers, you're carrying the colors and the mascot and with you. But then when you change the name, all of a sudden that connectivity has been cut off, and that's how I feel about this team. And thankfully, I don't see this being an opportunity for the Raiders to lose this, quote, lawsuit. But if they did and they became the Las Vegas Renegades, then I'm going to have a real hard time being a fan of this football team anymore.
Yeah, well, you know my opinion on that.
I know your opinion on it. You don't think it's going to happen.
It's a moot point, especially now with all this development with the A's.
We'll see, yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, all right, next up, let's hear from our buddy Alex in Tucson.
Hi, this is Alex Sandoval from Tucson, Arizona, second time calling. Look, I am so upset right now. I can't believe the fact that people are overreacting and want to bench Derek Carr. That is just ridiculous. I understand that he's had not only a rough game this past week against the Ravens, but a rough season. But in the end, or I should say in the bigger picture, he's like the last big piece that we have on this team. And if we bench Derek Carr and when we give up on Derek Carr, oh my gosh, I think that would not only give people the idea that we're done with Derek Carr, but it would just be bad for the team. It really would. And I don't disagree. I disagree with that idea, And I think by doing that, this rebuild would take longer than 2 to 3 years, for it to turn back around. It would take, longer than that, 5 years maybe, if we give up on Derek Carr. We shouldn't bench Derek Carr. I still believe in him, and have faith, and don't overreact. Go Raiders.
All right. Go ahead,
sorry,
Uncle
I didn't
Mosh.
mean to interrupt.
No, go
you,
for it.
I think the fans are, if there is a handful of fans that are giving up on Carr, but what you got to look at is what the people that he's playing with, what is the people that are coaching him. Cook said about Carr, Cook said, he's got heart, man. Let's be real. How many people are going to want to be back there when a 350-pound dude is coming down on them or trying to bend them to tear their legs off or their ankles off? Like, come on, brah. And you got to deal with that all game? Like, come on. That's not realistic. To be successful for any quarterback and for him to stand back there, deliver the passes that he delivers, and still be successful, he's taking a W to me. Dude. That's huge,
awesome.
man.
That's awesome.
To come from Cook, and I got reams and reams of things that John Gruden has said about his QB. Realistically, Carr ain't going anywhere.
No, he's not going anywhere. He's not going to get benched.
He's not going to. Yep.
It's it's not going to happen. It's not. Look, so all the what tight ends are left there that we need to account for here. Butler, I think, to come out, and Derek Carrier to speak out on behalf of Derek Carr. I mean, Lee Smith is spirit animal, as I believe Q Dog called him, which is pretty funny. Lee Smith came out in defense of Derek Carr, and now we have Jared Cook, who Jared Cook is arguably the best player at his position on our team. There's a handful of guys, Rodney Hudson, that are that, and so to hear that kind of endorsement of the quarterback is awesome. So I'm with Alex, and the biggest thing we were critical of Derek Carr at the beginning of the year, Uncle Mosh, was what?
Interceptions.
And untimely interception, throwing it after a big gain, throwing it on 1st and 10, throwing it in the end zone. Well, now Derek Carr, Grant, I know he's not lighting up the freaking scoreboard, and I know he's not throwing for a ton of yards, but he hasn't thrown a pick in 6 games. So don't you know the biggest thing we were critical of him as far as throwing interceptions? Well, now he hasn't done that in 6 games. So there is positivity to be found in there. So again,
exactly. Where's the accolades?
Absolutely. So look, I mean, there are much bigger things going on with this football team than our quarterback. I got faith in the guy. I mean, I'm a fan, and I think that the number one most important thing you have to have for your football team is a franchise quarterback, and we've got one. Is he the best quarterback in the league? No. Is he the most elite quarterback in the league? No. But I think if you surround him with the amount of weapons that other teams have, you see a much different Derek Carr. When look, 2 years ago, everybody likes to talk about that season 2 years ago. Well, look, Crabtree bailed him out of a lot of throws because Crabtree had great hands that season. Seth Roberts made some electrifying plays. We had some great play back then from those players, and that's what made our quarterback look great. Well, that's what happens all around the league. Now, there are quarterbacks that throw people open. There's Tom Brady's of the world and Aaron Rodgers, and you throw people open. But if you don't think that freaking, DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller make Deshaun Watson look good, then I don't know what football you're watching. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of cases of that where the weapons around him make your quarterback look good. There's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. All of a sudden, Dak Prescott looks like a world beater because Amari Cooper balled out, right? Like everybody was wanting to, bench Dak Prescott earlier in the year, and now all of a sudden, they can't get enough of him, and that's because of what Cooper did. So, look, it's just like let's not judge Derek based on what he is today. Now, look, if we surround him with some weapons and all of a sudden we've got some high-profile draft picks, or we get, I'm not saying we're going to get Le'Veon Bell, but you get what I'm saying. If we bring in some high-profile guys to surround him, now what's Derek Carr look like? Absolutely. Let's protect him. Let's keep him from getting sacked 100 freaking times a game and then see what he looks like, right? So I'm with you, Alex, and that was a great, great voicemail. All right, Uncle Mosh, let's next up go to Alberto in Los Angeles.
Hey Murf, hey Mosh, it's Alberto from LA. I'm thinking about making a new Raider name, maybe LA Raider. I don't know. But anyway, yesterday's game, not much to talk about. Same old, same old. I do want to talk about defense though. There were a lot of bright spots on defense. First thing is turnovers. We got 2 turnovers, and that's pretty good. We've had 2 turnovers from the secondary for 3 games in a row now, and that's crazy. and that's really good. Gary and Connolly, I believe, had a 66.1 passer rating. Anyone remember the last cornerback to have those numbers to wear 21? Exactly. So Connolly's looking promising. Reuben Foster, got released and now dealing with DOI charges. So, Raiders won that pick. Nicholas Morrow's a sleeper. I think he should be playing more. Ever since that Dallas game last season, I thought he'd been playing pretty good. But other than that, there are some promises on defense. And offense, not really. We just need that star receiver, and apparently he wants to play now since he's wearing a Cowboys uniform. Wow. But anyway, I want to mention a little Thanksgiving story. Forgot to mention it last call, but I think this is the first Raider game I watched. I think it was 2013, the Raiders versus Cowboys on Thanksgiving, and I was like 12, I think. Yeah, I was like 12, and I barely remember that game. All I can remember is that the Raiders had a red-headed quarterback, number 14, Matt McGloin. I remember Tony Romo was there, and I think I remember Darius Hayward-Bay on that team. I think Denarius Moore, Jacoby Ford. I have no idea, but I remember slightly. And the Raiders lost that game by 24-14? I have no idea, but it's a good Raiders Thanksgiving memory I had. I think it was the first Raider game I remember watching. So yeah, and I didn't curse in this message, so don't worry about that. All right.
Alberto snuck in an F-bomb on us last week, Uncle Mosh. Okay, so a couple things there. First off, I remember watching that game in 2013 at your house,
my house
for Thanksgiving. So, yeah, that was, the Raiders haven't had a lot of anything ever happen on Thanksgiving. It was kind of, they've had some uneventful losses, kind of a couple of uneventful wins, nothing major. But, yeah, nothing crazy going on there for Thanksgiving. But I want to bring up something real quick that happened in the chat. Watts Raider is in there. Watts is a great supporter of Mondays with Mikey and Murf and everything that we do here in Murf's Fan Cave. And he made a mention in there about the turnovers, about the fumbles returned for touchdowns, and about how Carr had 2 of those, and those count as turnovers. And I'm with you. And I used to be really critical of Jamarcus for that, right? Like there was games where Jamarcus would fumble more than he would even throw interceptions, and that was what he was doing with all the turnovers. So absolutely, that's fair. That's fair criticism of Carr, and I think that there's a place for to be critical of how long he may hold on to the ball at times. Maybe not getting rid of it as quickly as we would like him to. But it's hard to really go full with that opinion only because of the pressure. And so when we look at the pressure he's been under this year, he's been sacked 18 times in the last 4 games this month. All right. He was sacked 16 times in all of 2016. So again, going back to that 2016 year that we all want to celebrate, he's only sacked 16 times. Well, he's been sacked 2 more times than that this month. So it's hard to really pin that. Again, I understand the criticism and it's fair, but let's also look at what he's under as far as pressure goes. Now that pressure has also resulted into him getting rid of the ball at times quicker. Again, not always, but at times quicker than what we would like him to. And he is checking it down a lot. And that's the other criticism of Carr, is that he's throwing the ball short. Well, Carr had his league-high 19th game with 30-plus attempts and less than 200 yards since joining the NFL in 2014. Next on that list is Blake Bortles, and Carr has done it in more than 1/4 of his starts. So, again, that criticism is fair, and that's a great point, Watts Raider, which you brought up about the turnovers. But I just have trouble with it until we then surround him. You know what I mean? Until we get some more around him. When we're comparing him here in this case with Blake Bortles has a lot more talent on offense this year than what Derek Carr does. Blake Bortles is a classic case of an underachieving quarterback. When you look at the defense that they have that's out of this world, and you look at the playmakers they have on offense, Derek Carr doesn't have anything like that at his disposal, and they have only 1 win more than the Raiders, and a lot of it comes down to Blake Bortles. So I think that's so let's keep that perspective there when we're looking at him. All right, let's go next up. Let's go to Uncle Mosh. Let's go out to a pasture in Texas.
Why, hello there, Grandpa Mosh and Uncle Murf. What is up? It is B-Dog calling from a pasture in Texas. So I've just been online Twitter, whatnot, just looking at comments and stuff on Raiders stuff. They'll be like posting something about the Raiders, like, oh, we had a great practice today, or, you know, so-and-so stepped up real big last week. And then I'll just look at their comments and it'll be like, cut Derek Carr. And I'm just like, okay, why? And they'll be like, oh, we need to get rid of Derek Carr. We need to draft a new quarterback. Shea Patterson, we need Justin Herbert, we need Drew Lock, whatever. It's like, why would you get rid of him? First of all, if we draft a new quarterback, who's he going to throw to? Is he going to is he going to throw to Tim Brown in the stadium? Like, sitting in the stands? I don't know. But I don't think Carr is the source of our problems. It's the offensive line. It's the wide receivers. It's everybody. It's a collective effort. Don't put all the hate on Carr because we're losing. That's what just really pissed me off. It's just the negativity, man. It's terrible. I kind of want to make it short because that's all I got, because I got to get to Science Project. But another thing I want to add in here is Ryan Switzer blocked me on Twitter the other day, so that was fun. I basically told him I was glad he was gone because he was dissing the Raiders, like saying he was happy he was out of that organization. And I was just like, well, glad you're gone. And then he blocked me. So, well, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.
We nailed it. We last week in post, you and I were going, okay, how old is this guy? You know, and we love the fact that he is a kid and he's in high school. And, you know, because he was saying, yeah, a long time ago in 2015.
Yeah.
You know, I was in middle school, you know.
Yeah. Well, and Alberto said that he was 12 in 2013. So I'm not a math guy, but I'm pretty sure that's 17 years old.
Exactly.
So I love the fact that we have the younger fans. That is really cool. Absolutely.
We have hit the gambit, man. We've got them from LA to Serbia and from 8 to 80, baby.
That's awesome, man. Absolutely. So. You know, look, we don't know everything, and I think that when you get to a point in your life where you think you know everything, then that's a dangerous place to be. So we are always in a constant state of learning around here on Raiders Fan Radio, but we've been around long enough now that we got a pretty good understanding of what this organization is about, and certainly about its history. And so if we have younger fans tuning into us and we can impart any of that on you, maybe with some stories or whatever it may be to kind of, you know, to hip you to some fact about Raider Nation that you weren't aware of, then I'll call that not to pat ourselves on the back here, but a job well done. Is it like I'll glad to do that. Like I think that's cool that younger fans are tuning into us. Like that's you know what I mean? Right?
No, it's
like, you know what I mean. I'm not trying to be like self-gratifying here, but you know what I mean. Like I'm glad to share that, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what an old guy's job, and it is Uncle Mosh, not Grandpa Mosh, but that's okay. You get props for that.
You are Grandpa Mosh.
I actually am Grandpa Mosh.
Yeah. But no, I thought that was pretty funny.
That was great, man.
Uncle
and I love that, you know, because he's just the epitome of what I would think of as a Texas 17-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
He's calling from a pasture.
Pasture in Texas.
Pasture in Texas. No, I got to go. I got to go do my science project. And then he goes, B-Dog signing off. You know? We had this growing up in San Jose. Channel 11 was our local news, right?
Yeah.
And we'd have this guy come on, and he'd go, "Okay, reporting live. Now we're down here at the bank where the robbery took place." And he had this great AM voice, right? And then he'd sign off, and he was Hispanic, and he would go, and he was talking all that, you know, that really California talking, and this is where it happened, and this for Channel 11 News, Rico Chacon. You know, and that's what I think of when I think of, you know, B-Dog from the pasture.
Pasture in Texas. That's right.
I love that kid. Love it.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Appreciate you calling the show. And, you know, Uncle Mosh, that was B-Dog's third call.
Was it really?
Yeah. So you know what that means?
He's a made man. As soon as you can vote.
Are a made man. You showed you are part of the family by participation. By chance, a man like yourself should make enemies, then they would become my enemies. Showing you are a friend of Raiders Fan Radio, you have leapt across the line. Friendship is everything. Friendship is more than talent. It is more than the government. It's almost equal to family. Be loyal. Made man, Raider fan. Someday, and that day may never come, I'll call upon you to do a service for me. But until that day, accept this as a gift. And don't ever forget, words can hurt more, but silence can break hearts.
All right, good stuff there from B-Dog. Appreciate that, and congratulations on being a made man here on Raiders Fan Radio. Uncle Mosh, Watts Raiders bringing it tonight in the chat. I like it. He threw something else out there about Chucky. He says, calls plays like he has weapons. He used Jordy Nelson on a reverse last Sunday. What do you call that?
We talked about that.
And I'm with you, Watts Raider. Look, as much as we love John Gruden,
I love that.
That was an awful call. And I've used the term a few times now. I've said that the Raiders have run out of talent. And some people be like, what do you mean they can't run out of talent? What I mean by that is that you can only do so much with what you got. If Jordy Nelson is your go-to on a reverse, then you don't have enough talent to be running a reverse. So I'm with Watts Raider. Like, why are we calling that play? And clearly Jordy's not the guy, because he's not only has he lost a step, I think he's lost a couple. And you know what I mean?
I think sometimes coach might outthink himself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And
yes.
He's going, okay, and it's like playing chess for him. You know, it's 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 moves ahead, right? And he's going, they're never going to expect Jordy on a reverse, right?
Yeah.
So he's thinking that he's got the defense. He's got the defense moving one way, and he's going to send Jordy the other way. And 5 years ago, that might have broke for major yardage.
Sure.
But
yeah, when he was a Packer.
Before
injuries.
Yeah. Before injuries, before Father Time got a hold of him. You know, so.
Well, you know, it's interesting is that, and I think what you just said is really, really cool there, Mosh, because it not only do they run out of talent, but I think that Gruden doesn't call plays like he's running out of talent, but he's still got it. And here's where, you know, when we look at the opening drives and the way that the Raiders start off football games, it's pretty impressive. So when we look at, I'm going to read you some numbers here. The Raiders on the opening drive are fourth best in the league at a little over 7 yards per play. They're fifth best in the league at a little over 3 points per drive. After the opening drive, they're 5.25 yards per play, which is seventh worst in the league, and 1.3 points per drive, third worst in the league. So this drop off that we see in the second and third quarter, that's that run out of talent. Now, does that mean that, because football is all about adjustments, right? The NFL especially is all about adjustments. What do coaches adjust at halftime to account for what you did well?
We saw that with the run game this past Sunday.
Yeah, and so is Gruden, here's the question, and I think this is the fairest question to ask. Is it that he's not capable, or he doesn't have the ability based on the talent that's now on the football team? So, and that's I think a debatable question. That's a fair way to be critical. Like, okay, is he just lose it in the second half? Is he getting out-schemed? Is he getting out-gamed by the coach across from him on the sidelines? Or does he just not have enough to be able to counter or to be able to adjust himself? And I think that's a fair question to ask. That's a fair question to ask. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I like to think I know, because the Raiders don't have a lot of talent on offense. We don't have a lot. I mean, look what we have. I mean, we got Jalen Richard, Jared Cook. Like, what else after that? Who's the star wide receiver of our football team?
Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you could say we should trade Amari Cooper. Okay, well, yeah, I agree. I love Amari Cooper, but not at $17 million a year.
Right. Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know, this week I talked to Phil Barber a little bit on Twitter, and and he said something about, when you look at Coop's numbers and what he's doing in Dallas, and he was like, sure would have been nice to build around a player like that. And I'm like, yeah, but at cost of what? What's the opportunity cost there to build around a guy like Cooper? The occasional disappearing act and $17 million a year? No, thank you. And he was like, well, did you see him on Thanksgiving? And I use that voice. Phil doesn't use a voice like that. He's a professional guy. He said, well, did you see him on Thanksgiving? And I said, yeah. And I also saw him the week before when he was 3 catches for 36 yards.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, so let's keep that in perspective here. So anyways, not a lot going on as far as offensive talent for this Raiders football team, which, and the last thing I'll say about it, I didn't expect. We talked about Ryan Switzer earlier that blocked B-Dog on Twitter. I thought with Switzer and Jordy and Coop, and I thought, wow, this is going to actually be a strength of our football team this year. No.
Hey, Kevin Lurker said
in the chat.
Yeah, in the chat says Rico Chacon. He's a thing, man. He remembers him.
Oh yeah.
I guess
cool.
He's still happening or whatever.
Oh, is he still around? Oh, that's funny.
That.
That's awesome, Mosh. Good job. All right, let's go up. So speaking of made men, let's go hear from our buddy. I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna save it. Let's listen to Q-Dog.
We'll get to it.
Let's listen to Q-Dog.
Greetings, Murf, Sonny, Uncle Mosh, Nation. It's your 2018 CAPO candidate, Eric Q-Dog Raider, calling from the east side up here in snowy Les, Virginia. Let's go ahead and get into it. This week's hit list nominee, and there's only one nominee, seeing as though there's just so many to go and ponder and cut through, but there's one that just stands head and shoulders above all else. Johnny Holton. This guy had the most ridiculous, awkward, lame, lackluster, just completely inept attempt at his solo pass look this past game against the Ravens, those corny Ravens. Oh my goodness. He was wide open going over the middle, and it was going to be a glorious bomb. Yes, that's right. Derek Carr actually looked downfield, and you know what? He came up zeros, goose eggs. He didn't take a doggone completion. The ball barely hit his hands before bouncing off of his shoulders and once again making us look like laughing stocks as we came back to the East Coast. But whatever. Recently, fans across every NFL team, they got a chance to go on to SB Nation Network. Basically, it's a good media outlet, very poorly written articles, but a good source of information nonetheless. And everybody had to basically say who their arch rival was. And you know what? Across the AFC West, not a single team in division voted the Raiders as their number one rival any longer. Brothers, we are slipping into darkness. I mean, not even our arch rivals, the ones that we say and hate the most, consider us a rival anymore. We got to get it back. But you know what? San Diego was voted a single arch rival by any of the other 3 teams in division. Hey, things may be bad for us, but it absolutely sucks to be an LA Charger, an LA Supercharger, whatever the hell that is. And this goes out to my man Johnny in San Diego. I was thinking about you, bruh. You once said, they should throw me the quiet storm. Well, go ahead, baby. Get your loving in, Raider Nation. Hey. That's all I got. Remember, Raider Nation, love Black Lives Silver. Group.
All right, there he is, Aaron the Q-Dog Raider with the slow jam going on in the background.
I know, right?
The quiet storm.
And I kind of liked it till the guy started commenting.
yeah.
You're listening to.
So you mentioned Johnny in San Diego there. So Johnny in San Diego, and there's a couple other made men that they're kind of MIA on us, Mosh. Jimmy Zebach, your buddy Jimmy Z up there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's a few of them that have kind of fallen off a little bit. So if you're out there and you're still listening to the show, we'd love to hear from you guys. Some of the original made men here on Raiders Fan Radio, guys like Johnny in San Diego. So appreciate those shout outs there, Q-Dog. All right, so he brings up a couple of interesting things there. So first, let me talk about the Raiders portion of it, and then we're going to talk about the Raiders Fan Radio portion of what he had to say. And I'm excited about the Raiders Fan Radio portion. And I'm excited to talk about the Raiders part too. But anyway, so he mentioned that there was the report there about the teams that viewed what teams as rivals, and none of the teams in our division picked us as a rival. And I think that has all the merit in the world, whether we like it or not. And despite the the hatred that we have, and the test for that guy who shall not be named, and the cheats, and the you know what I mean. And what's that other team? The Donkeys.
Yeah.
Despite all that, there was a term. I'm reminded of a term back when I lived in the Bay Area, and it was about the Giants-Dodgers rivalry. And Dodgers fans used to say, they hate us and we don't know they exist, which was a pretty good shot, right?
It's a great shot.
It's a great shot at Giants fans. And that's how I feel now is that we hate them and they don't know we exist. And there's a reason why, Q-Dog. the Raiders' records against AFC West opponents since 2002. So this is since John Gruden left. Remember that guy that coached us to all those wins. So since 2002, since he left, we are 9-23 versus the Chargers. We are 10-21 versus the Broncos, and we are 10-20 versus the Chiefs. Six of those 29 victories came in 2010, when then head coach Tom Cable swept the AFC West, but somehow managed to miss the playoffs. So far this year, we are 0-3 against our division opponents. So I say all that to say this, Raider Nation. We hate them, but they don't know we exist.
Ooh.
And now for something completely different.
I had to do it. I had to do it.
Shake it up, man. Shake it up.
We were getting down. we were going down. We were going down into the despair rabbit hole. You know what Coach Gruden said about Carr?
What do you say about Carr?
I think he's a heck of a quarterback, honestly. I'll just leave it at that. I look forward to someday when we have a lot of pieces in place and we have some continuity. Everybody's used to playing with one another. I just think this guy has a real high ceiling. He has a lot of pride in his performance. He's taking care of the football and being available every single day on the practice field and on game day. It's a priority. You know what? He's got faith in his quarterback.
That's cool
man.
stuff,
and
man.
You're not gonna, I don't know, man. I look at all the. Oh, they don't think we're relevant. Blah 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 blah. You know what? I think we're relevant. I'm a fan.
Well, that's it.
You know, I'm a fan.
Yep.
I think I love the fact that my coach loves my quarterback and that there's not discord and that was me knocking on wood.
Absolutely.
And I think we're relevant, and I'm okay with that.
And you know, that's a very interesting point you brought up there, Mosh. Is on Mondays with Mikey Murf this week, we were talking about the biggest Raiders busts. We're talking about the biggest busts in history. Could be coaching, could be players, could be whatever kind of bust. And you know, there's something in common with the biggest busts for the Raiders. So whether that's Jamarcus or that's Todd Marinovich,
right,
or whatever, like they're character busts as well as player busts, right?
On
like
and off the field.
Right. There is dysfunction that accompanies them. So it could be Lane Kiffin, right? There was dysfunction that accompanied Lane. It wasn't just his wins and losses. It was the dysfunction that happened inside the meeting rooms when he was off the field, all that, okay? So that's not here now. That's not going on with Gruden and Carr and Mark Davis. There's not dysfunction. We don't have the results we want, but it's not a dysfunctional organization. So if there's anything to take solace in, it's that. So I want to hit something real quick. I'm glad you brought up positivity. I love it when you drop the Monty Python.
Oh, man.
And I see your positivity, Uncle Mosh, and I got some positivity back for you.
Come on.
Rodney Hudson is becoming our favorite player. He ranks second among centers with an 80.5 overall grade, according to PFF, and ranks first with a 90.7 pass blocking grade. The guy is still holding it down despite Derek Carr coming under fire every single game, despite Matthew Judon sacking him 3 times in a row. It's not coming from Rodney Hudson. He's still a stalwart on our offensive line. And aside from Jared Cook, Mosh is probably the best player we have on the team.
He said, I read that he hasn't allowed a single pressure in 163 dropbacks.
That's unbelievable.
Can you believe that?
That is unbelievable.
He's the only
That's
offensive lineman with 100-plus pass block snaps of 2.6 seconds or above to allow 0 pressures this season.
0.
That's crazy.
0 pressures.
What a stud, man.
0 friggin' pressures. He's amazing.
We talk about him every week.
Yes. And why don't we hear more about him?
I know.
Like, why do we not? Is everybody wants to bitch, and fair enough, but no one wants to celebrate. Let's celebrate the man in the middle right now. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I'll give you one more. Speaking of celebrating players, let's celebrate Jared Cook. Not only was he very kind about what he had to say about Derek Carr, but the players So this comes from the Raiders players, voted Jared Cook their Ed Block Courage Award nominee.
Nice.
Yeah, the team announced it, and these accolades are for players that stand to honor such qualities as inspiration, courage, and sportsmanship. And so not only is he on pace to set career highs in catches, yards, and touchdowns, but he's also a solid dude off the field as well. And so thank you to the Raiders for players for bringing attention to that and honoring Jared Cook. That's cool stuff. So, all right, now, Uncle Mosh, how's this for a segue? Speaking of honoring people.
It's time, my brother.
It's time, man. You know, our last caller, Aaron the Q-Dog Raider, made mention on there about CAPO candidate. All right, and if you don't know what a CAPO is, when you look at the way that we'll just call it a family is organized, all right, you have a hierarchy. There's an organizational chart, if you will, from top to bottom, and it starts at the top with the Don, okay, the boss, the undisputed leader of the family's organization. Then next to the Don, you have the consigliere.
Right.
Okay. The consigliere is a trusted counselor and advisor to the boss. The consigliere is a confidant, usually number 3 man in the family, typically has flowing silver hair and can carry a show tune.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next up, you have an underboss, a powerful second in command. The underboss could be a family member who is also respected and being groomed to one day take over that family business. Then, Uncle Mosh, you have the CAPO. The CAPO is similar to a military captain. He's a high-ranking member of the family who leads a crew of soldiers, or made men, if you will. There may be up to 3 or more such commanders of soldiers who are responsible for the enforcement of earnings. Okay? Next on the list, on the hierarchy, is the made men, also known as the soldiers, the lowest members of the crime family, but still command respect in the organization. To become a made man, the soldiers are required to take an oath of silence called omerta. In RFR, Raiders Fan Radio, soldiers are required to make 3 successful calls to get played on the air from the Murf Fan Cave Network. And then you have your associates. You have your individuals who tune into the RFR network of podcasts, or maybe the YouTubes.
Sure, we could take that.
The regular ham and eggers who claim to be Raiders fans. Some are neophytes who are new to the growing RFR network. Many are dwellers in the chat room who crave Sizzler fame but aspire to be made men. The associates are truly a rogues gallery. So knowing that that's kind of how the hierarchy of the family works, Uncle Mosh, we have our made men. We have a group of made men who are awesome contributors over many, many years now to Raiders Fan Radio. And some of those made men have elevated to that CAPO status. We wanted to have kind of the next rank up from the made men, because as wonderful as all those made men are, there are some guys that are the made of the made men.
Sure.
The weekly contributors, the guys who might even have come up with this chart themselves. And we fully endorse the implementation of this chart. And you can't earn CAPO. Like, CAPO is like a made man. You can earn it by making calls. You can earn it by working. To become a CAPO, you got to kind of be designated.
It's a title, my brother.
It's a title given.
Yeah, it's a title.
It's a title given.
It's like respect. You know, it's earned. It's given. It's not demanded. It's not bought.
It's not but thank you. That's better. Yes.
You know, it's a gift.
It's a gift. So we would like to, Uncle Mosh and I are honored to welcome the first CAPO, the first made of the made men to the show, to Raiders Fan Radio. And you know it. It's going to be Aaron, the Q-Dog Raider. Aaron, thank you for all you've done to contribute to the show. Thank you for being an interviewee on our show at one point. And thank you for this org chart.
He's and he's won the Sizzler. He was one of the first made men. He's been an interviewee. He's always on the chat. You know,
absolutely. He's the
guy what we're looking for.
He's the guy right now. So to honor you and to thank you for that, we got a little something for
you. The title of CAPO, it's not taken lightly. It's not earned without great effort and loyalty. You see, a capo's a rank. It's used for a made member. The member heads a crew, and he's got major social status and influence within the organization. Capo's got varying degrees of power. Some capos are relatives,
Some are close friends. But first and foremost, a capo. A capo's active within the crew, and a capo is always respected.
Thank you, Aaron, the Q-Dog Raider. Congratulations. You are the first. And look, we're not going to hand these things out lightly. This is not like you're going to get like a weekly segment of us going like, okay, and now this week's capo. This is like a maybe once in a year, once every few months kind of thing. So anyway, so not taken lightly, and appreciate, again, all the support that you give to Raiders Fan Radio. All right, Uncle Mosh, let's jump back into the Sea of Fans mailbag. We got a couple more before we get out of here for the night. And let's hear from our buddy Jack in Albany.
Hey, this is Raider Jack calling from Albany, Oregon. How you doing? What's going on, Murf, Uncle Mosh, rest of the Raiders Fan Radio Nation out there? I had a thought. I was sitting here watching a thing on fandom. So I had a thought on fandom. My thought on fandom is this. A lot of times in fandom, you'll notice that the fans often reflect the team. You look at, for example, I was raised in Indianapolis. Look at the Colts. You go to a Colts game. The Colts are very kind of clean cut for the most part. You look at their fans. They're all wearing polos. You know, a lot of fans out there. I mean, you might get some in the cheap seats that are, you know, from the city around it, but most of them are, you know, wealthy people that are there at Lucas Oil. You go out to the Black Hole. You see the insanity that the Raiders have, and it's a good feeling. A lot of times you'll notice that the dysfunction of the team does tend to bleed over. So if there's a felt dysfunction going on, you'll see fans jumping ship, screaming, yelling, making nonsense, you know, claims. And when we don't understand what's going on back and forth in the front office and such like that, it all feels very unstable, all feels very disheartening. It's good to come together when we see these kind of things to, you know, kind of put that sort of thing down. Because I've been on a lot of Facebook groups that have this problem, and I'm just tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing these fans be like, oh, well, I'm jumping ship or screw this team or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I've been loving the Raiders since I was a kid, since they were in L.A. I literally had a bad situation where I was married to a freaking Patriots fan. We got a divorce a year ago, and all my Raiders stuff got destroyed by her. I still have like one Raiders shirt, you know, and it's disheartening. I got to go get some new stuff. It was a bad divorce, but anyway, it is what it is, and I stick with my team. And you know, you look at the other teams, the Dog Pound in Cleveland, all the Giants, and they all reflect their teams. The fans always do. But that's just a random thought I had for the day. Go Raiders.
All right. You want to, as the guy who's a multiple offender in this, you want to jump in on that?
Gosh, man, I had a breakup one time, and I wasn't married to her. It might have been my shortest relationship ever. I lived with this woman for 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
And I came home and I'm like, where's my clothes? she gave all my clothes to the Goodwill and my cat to the Pound.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
After 3 days?
3 days.
What'd you do? Crap on the floor?
No, I'm not sure. 2 of those days she was on vacation. You know, she was with her.
Reminds me of the movie Friday. How you gonna get fired on your day off?
Yeah. Holy mackerel!
That's pretty funny. All right, so Jack and Albany.
That was hilarious. Love that guy.
Yeah, appreciate the call there, bud. Jump in the chat real quick. And first off, a lot of activity in the chat tonight. Thank you. I can't scroll up, but of course, Aaron the Q-Dog Raiders in there. Joe Valdez, Ron, Watts Raider, Running Bear, Raider Homer, Bobby Wasabi. Did I say Joe Valdez yet? Caustic, Vladimir from Serbia, and Kevin Lurker. The guy in there, Adam Garcia, asked a question. Hey, Murph, what do you think the chances are of the Raiders trading away their top pick to get more picks? Do you think that's in the Raiders' best interest? Here's what I would say to that. And this is a lot of the I say this to a lot of the critics that talk about the Raiders acquiring high-level picks and say, well, what are they going to do in 4 years when they got to pay all those players at the same time? If they don't want to play those max contracts, then what are they going to do with all these guys? High-profile players are not what you build a team around. When you think of, you know, granted, they do electrifying, amazing things, whether it's Aaron Donald or Khalil Mack or whoever else, amazing players on defense. but you really build the strength of your team around cores. You think of like the Legion of Boom, right? Like you think of, that's what you build your team around. So if there's an opportunity for the Raiders to trade out, now that they have multiple draft picks in the first round, if there's an opportunity to trade out of one of those to create more picks, like what the Patriots do, to build then depth and to build a core of defense, yes, absolutely. So I think it's entirely a possibility, much more so than it was in the past. You know, I think that Reggie never really entertained that idea, whether he's there or not. And I think now it's going to be Gruden obviously has a lot more influence on it. It's certainly more of a possibility now, and I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, look, at this point, when you have this many holes and this many needs on a team, why not? Why not trade back for a couple of twos or something and you know, or a player and a pick or whatever? Absolutely. I think that possibility is on the table.
And when you have that much stuff to play with, like we have to play with,
yes.
When you got that many, you know, it's a lot easier to hit on a 15 when you're up $200. You know what I mean?
There you go. Absolutely. Great point, Mosh. All right, let's go. We got two more to get to from the same guy. So first off, let's hear. I mentioned him earlier in the show, and thank you to Monster Mash Kent. Let me give him a plug.
Where as Murf is going for Little Murf.
Yeah.
Hey. Easy. Yeah,
all about context there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We had a flashback to bringing the balls to golf.
Hey-o. All right, so let me give Monster Mash Ken. So Monster Mash Ken, so he does these custom action figures. If you're on the YouTube, you can see there. This is Little Murf. He's the custom action figure that Ken made and sent to us. So check him out. He's on Facebook, Monster Mash Ken. I tell the story about my kids, how one day they were like, "Hey, Dad, you look like your action figure." I'm like, yeah. like I came out for like a Raider game or something, and they're like, "Dad, you look like Little Murf." I'm like, yeah, that's why Little Murf looks the way he does. So anyway, great job, Monster Mash Ken, on the creation of Little Murf. And let's hear from our buddy Monster Mash Ken.
Uncle Mosh, Murf, Lil Murf, this is Raider 10, Master Mash. I'm in Baltimore. We just won the kickoff. Prediction, Raiders win by a field goal. Carlson again. That's my prediction. I'll call you after the game. I got some great picks. We're representing with Splatterhead and Fit. My sister Mary is here. First Raider game. She's a Giants fan, but I guarantee she's going to be going home a Raider fan. She's having the time of her life. We love you guys. Raider Nation.
There he is, man. Fired up.
Love that.
Don't you love it?
Enthusiasm, man.
Love it. Great stuff there from Monster Mash Ken. And of course, and then we lost, right? And so when he called back, it was a little bit different of a demeanor. And but still appreciate the call, of course. Always Monster Mash Ken.
Murf, Uncle Mosh, this is Monster Mash Ken.
Little different tone.
Gotta do my follow-up call from the game. I know I called during the game. I was sipping on that juice, you know. Those that Raider Nation knows how to party out in the tailgates. I just wanted to, the game is what it is. It was fun. It looked like there was some promise. I'll kind of get in that in a quick minute. I just wanted to say one thing. No matter what the turmoil is of the nation and our team and where the management is going, one thing that is always consistent is the loyal fans, those tailgaters that are out there early in the morning and you know, just having a good time. It's like a real family. I brought my sister-in-law, and she's a Giants fan, but I guarantee you, after that game, she's now rooting for that black and silver. So she had a great time, and the Chuck and Splatterhead and Fitz, they threw a hell of a party. The Jersey chapter of the Raider Nation, it was amazing. A lot of great picks. I was very fortunate to be able to go on the field and meet Al Davis and
Mark.
Mackenzie's brother. I got his name for a second there. And then my favorite was Kelsey Martinez, though. That was really cool. And there were some other things that had happened on the field that we just didn't see. And anyway, just overall great experience. Just so proud to be part of that tailgate experience. Anyway, as far as the game goes, I think we see some promise in some of these young studs, and that's all we can hope for, right? I just wish for the best. I know a lot of people are saying trade Carr now, and you see all these crazy Twitter posts, and it's just going to set us back. I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, you know what? We just got to ride with it like we always do. Anyway, guys, I hope Thanksgiving was great. I hope you had a great time. Mosh, I hope you didn't eat a lot of donuts. And love you guys. Take care. God bless.
Oh, man. Good stuff there from Monster Mash Ken. Yeah, man. Appreciate him shouting out the guys in the Black Hole and Splatterhead and Fitz and what they had going on there. Because that's, again, we win the tailgate. We win, the communal nature of fandom. Like, we win that every single time. And, so really cool. Appreciate the report there, Ken. Appreciate the pictures, man. He sent some great pictures. I included them a couple of them in the slideshow this week, and so really just appreciate him kind of including us. No fan left behind on that one, and so great stuff from Monster Mash Ken as always.
Sizzler.
All right, so we had some great calls tonight, Murph. We had, of course, Q-Dog always does a great call and added some sounds to his
Yes, had the slow jams going, yeah.
And we just had some hilarious calls. Jack, of course, talking about anytime you talk about what you lost in a divorce and work that into a football fan podcast, that's a good thing. And who can forget B-Dog? From his pasture, B-Dog getting his made man status within 6 months of getting his driver's license. This is awesome. That it's a future for us. But tonight, I gotta go with my Sizzler Award because it was a sizzling call, man. It was full of enthusiasm. It was a 2-call event. It was a pregame and a postgame, and both of them had that excitement that we look for in a great sizzling call. He recruited a family member. He was talking about sipping juice. He brought a positive note about the fans and the tailgating and our brothers in arms over there in New Jersey. He brought up me eating donuts and having appendicitis for crying out loud, and he even dropped a few names. But to top it off, the way he wins the Sizzler Award, he met Al Davis. Sizzler. Monster Mash Ken, the winner of this week's Sizzler Award.
That is awesome.
We are Metallica, and we are here for your Oakland Raiders.
You know why we out here, and we ain't playing around today.
From The Walking Dead to errant Jedi Knights, Raiders fans are a rogues gallery.
I'm looking for those of you that are on the YouTube. I'm looking for the picture. I'm stalking Ken's Facebook here because I want to find the picture. He met Raleigh McKenzie. There's a picture of him with them. There's a picture of him with Kelsey Martinez. And there's another one. There it is. Okay, so if you're on the YouTube, check that picture out. There's Ken with Mark Davis.
That is so cool.
Isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
That is so cool. And then I'll share one more with you because he's wearing our shirt. Here is, I mentioned Sir Hitman, Rodney from DC Metro. And so there they are at the tailgate. There's Ken. Let's see if it focuses there. Let's see. There we go. There's Ken and his sister, and then Rodney. And he's wearing his Raiders Fan Radio t-shirt. There it is. Now you can see it.
Oh, that rocks,
cool?
man.
Isn't that cool?
I love it.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of those there. So appreciate, again, Ken holding it down, and congratulations on winning this week's Sizzler. All right, Uncle Mosh, we got the Chiefs this week. I'm going to apologize I can't do it during the show. It's too hard to find. I got so many dang sound bites. I'm going to find the one where you rant about the Chiefs. We'll play that for next week, win or lose. But I want to do two things before we get out of here. Number one is I will never waste an opportunity to play old NFL films about the Raiders, and especially in terms of the Chiefs. And, last week we talked about a lot of the classic players, a lot of the classic linebackers, and you mentioned Dan Connor.
Oh, yeah.
And we even mentioned we talked a little bit about Atkinson. Well, in 1969, Mosh, when the Raiders played the Chiefs, and hold on, let's see, I got the tail of the tape here. 11-23, so let's see, that's what, 49 years ago?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
49 years ago, almost to the day, the Raiders intercepted the Chiefs 5 times. We won the game 27-24. 2 picks were by cornerback Dave Grayson, 1 by linebacker Gus Otto. and 2 pick sixes by George Atkinson, one by George Atkinson and one by middle linebacker Dan Connors. Darryl LaMonica threw a touchdown to Warren Wells, and place kicker George Blanda had 2 field goals. And so let's just take a minute here and listen to what that game sounded like back in 1969.
The Kansas City Chiefs, brooding, intense, still stinging from last year's humiliation, were the first hurdle and were favored in this game at home. They took the lead on a McVay sweep. But Oakland's defense contributed 5 interceptions. One by aggressive George Atkinson went for a touchdown. A bullet to Wells tied the score. In the second half, Dan Connors scored his 5th career touchdown by galloping 75 yards for the winning 6 points. Tackles Harry Shue and Bob Spheas were the first to congratulate Connors. But the 27-24 outcome revealed the closeness of these 2 great teams.
Pretty cool stuff there. I just can't get enough of John Facenda ever.
He's the best.
He's the best.
His voice is just, golly.
I know. It's awesome, especially when you start dropping names like Atkinson and, of course, and Connors and whatnot. It's so good. So Mosh, this rivalry is one of the all-time greatest. It's one of the most heated. So what does this mean? And I want to tell you something first, kind of what my thoughts are on it, and then I want to ask you about yours. I think back to 1999, when we featured Darryl Russell on this show, we talked a lot about the 1999 game where the Raiders went into Arrowhead, beat Kansas City to knock them out of the playoffs. Right. And that was the famous line where he's walking off the field and he says, "We going home?" Yeah, and they going home.
Yeah.
So there was an arrival moment for Gruden. It was a reemergence of the Raiders, and then because then it went and it took off from there, right? And then with a Super Bowl appearance in 2003. So right now we don't have a lot to play for. Right now at 2-9, there's not a lot going on, but the Chiefs do. The Chiefs are sitting at 9-2, which right now makes them the number 1 seed in the AFC. On their heels are the Patriots at 8-3, the Steelers at 7-3-1, and the Texans are now 8-3 after beating the Titans on Monday night. So by knocking down the Chiefs a rung, at a minimum, it's probably going to put them into a tie-breaking situation, if not potentially could move them from being a first-round bye all the way down to being to where they don't even get a bye in the first week at all. They could knock them down. We could knock them down into being a 4th seed in this, right, and forcing them to play in the first round of the playoffs. Now, I know we got a long way to go to get to the playoffs, but my point being, though, is that they got a lot to play for, and we got nothing to play for. This could be an amazing moment for us. Now, look, I don't have any delusions the Raiders are going to, win this game by 40 points or whatever, but being that it is a rivalry game, any given Sunday, right? We've seen crazier things happen in the NFL. My question to you is this, Mosh. Aside from the impact of the records and aside from the impact of the playoff picture, what would this mean? And I asked Mikey this question this last week. What would this mean to Gruden and his legacy and to us as fans if we beat the Chiefs, the number 1 seed in the AFC and arguably the best team in football? If we knock them off on Sunday, does that shut everybody up at least for a few weeks, if not the rest of the season, if we can somehow miraculously pull off a win?
Running Bear in the chat room, he said it so eloquently, and he says, this is a game where the Chiefs could possibly overlook us, and we'll be the team they lose to that they shouldn't.
We always beat somebody we shouldn't. We always lose to somebody we shouldn't.
That's why we play the game. And, man, nothing will shut up the Boo Birds. Nothing's going to shut up the haters. Haters got to hate. And, okay. and those people, for those of you that follow the show and my golf analogy, those people that are going to complain about the Gruden and they're going to complain about everything up through the Super Bowl win, and then they'll bitch and moan about that because we didn't cover the point spread. They're going to hate. Would it shut people up? No. It won't shut them up. Will it be the the hand to help the folks back onto the bandwagon? Possibly. But I don't know. I know that like every Sunday that you and I have watched football, we're thinking we're going to win. You know? And
that's what you do.
And that's what you do. And that's what fans do. You know, or you wouldn't spend the money on the jerseys or the shirts or the tickets or the tailgates or whatever else. But you know, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. And I don't care what people call it. They're going to call it a fluke. They're going to say, "Oh, Kansas City took Oakland too light." Okay, so what?
So what?
Who got the W?
Yeah, exactly. You
know?
And I think just personally, it will do a lot for us and our show, and that, you know, it's tough to be the guys that are positive. It's tough to be the guys that are towing the line when the team is underperforming. Because, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it, at the end of the year, 31 teams' critics are proven right. Only one team wins the Super Bowl. So you can, you know, any criticism you have of your football team, you're proved that you're right at the end. So for us, if we can pull off a win like this, then it will help when we do encounter those people, when we do encounter those things, you know, whether it's online or face-to-face, at least we can have that in our back pocket to say, yeah, well, you know, we beat the Chiefs, so something's going right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
I don't know.
It can happen.
It could happen.
I ain't scared of no Chiefs.
Well, I ain't scared of no damn Chiefs.
No.
I ain't scared of no damn
No.
Chiefs. So here's a more realistic conversation, because I don't think the Raiders are going to win. But they are 15-point home underdogs to the Chiefs. This is the biggest spread for them at home going back 20 years.
Wow.
We were 14-point underdogs against the Eagles in 2009, which the Raiders won that game 13-9. But my dad used to always say, always bet the home dog. You always bet a home dog. And 15 points is a huge spread in the NFL.
Yeah, it is.
Anytime you go more than 2 touchdowns in the NFL, that's a monster spread. So, you know, we got a little gambling town down the road from us in Tunica, Mississippi. If Uncle Mosh, if you and I were down there at the Gold Strike this weekend and you had $100 to lay on a football game, would you bet $100 on the Raiders to cover the 15-point spread?
Well, absolutely.
I would
and
too.
And the reason I say that is because I would have already won $500 at the crap table. So I'm a winner either way.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. Playing with house money, right? Playing with house money. All right, guys, that's all we have for tonight here on Raiders Fan Radio. Appreciate everybody joining us. As always, appreciate the chat room. I can't scroll up, but Pirate 1975, and yes, Pirate, I'm gonna sing the Mikey and Murph theme song if we beat the Chiefs. I made him that bet this on Monday's show. Pirate 1975 is in there. Watch Raider, Mr. B, Raider Homer, Kevin Lurker, Aaron the Q-Dog Raider, the Raider Critique, Sergio, Charles Brand, I see in there. Of course, Mr. Ron is in there, and Running Bear. Appreciate everybody checking us out here on Raiders Fan Radio. Enjoy the game this weekend. Enjoy the game Sunday. And that's all we got for the show. Thank you for what you do to support us. Please subscribe to the Murph's Fan Cave YouTube channel. That's the best way to support our show. And then, of course, Apple Podcast or Google Play, or download the app if you want, if you're an Android user. So thanks again. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Hey, don't forget to mention that thing that's coming out Saturday that you and I are on.
Oh, yeah. Once again, thank you to Mikey for inviting us to join him for the first episode ever of Inside the Raider Nation, where he interviews different fans of the team. I suspect that there's some guys, especially guys like Watts Raider. I'm going to assume he's going to be on that list of interviewees for Mikey. And so I appreciate Mikey reaching out to you and me, Uncle Mosh, to be the first interviewees on that. And yes, that will be out Saturday. And if you follow us on social media, I'll have links out to that. You can find that on Mikey's YouTube channel, which is On Air Nation, and I'll have that out on our Facebook and on our Twitter. All right, guys, that's all we got. Uncle Mosh, close us out.
All right, man. Well, hey, just like my buddy B-Dog from the pasture says, it's a school night. I got to go. I got to work on a science project. But don't ever forget, what's done in Vegas started in Oakland.